Hello and welcome to another episode of United Technologies presents Transforming Cities, Transforming India in partnership with CNBC TV18 and moneycontrol.com. Local mass transportation systems and airports are two of the parameters that define how developed any city or nation is. Worldwide, the air transport industry is a driver of the world economy, with a third of all global trade by value being shipped by air. In India too, the development and maturity of aviation sector or an urban mass city transport system is an indicator of the overall growth and development we as a nation have achieved or are in the process of achieving. To understand and learn how the transportation system can be harnessed to its full potential in India, on the show today, we have Vivek Gadgil, the man behind the revolutionary Hyderabad Metro Rail. Vijay Kurian, the managing director of Cochin International Airport Limited. He transformed a small town airport into India's fourth busiest international airport. Arun Bhatia, the managing director of Carrier Air Conditioning and Refrigeration. And Amber Dubey, the partner and head aerospace and defense practice at KPMG in India.
Smart city vision is a very broad urban dream that the Indian government has taken up to take India forward. When it comes to transportation, it means that modern mass transportation systems need to save travel time for the users as well as save fuel for the nation, thereby reducing the carbon footprint.
Cities are going to grow. You can't have all people staying in the center of the city. But if people are given a very, I would say, safe and clean and punctual public transport system, that will be the order of the day to increase the quality of the life. And the smart city concept is basically to improve the quality of the life of the citizens. And somewhere we are lost or we have forgotten that cities are for citizens. Probably that will come back. Today cities are overcrowded with cars, so sometimes I wonder whether cities are for cars or people. Hyderabad is a typically old 400-year-old city, congested roads, congested traffic. So what we have done is actually 80 to 90% of our construction, if you have seen, is in precast kind of things. Actually on the site, on the ground, we do very little work. We do the foundation, we do the pier, and then rest of the thing is all precast. And those precasts are done outside. They are transported in the night and erected. And it can give a very phenomenal speed of construction. Because precasting is normally done on almost like a laboratory conditions, because you are in a factory kind of environment. The quality also tends to be extremely good. Now stations have been designed in a hump mode. Now what hump mode means, actually almost all the stations, they are at a little higher than normally required tracks. Now how does it help is that as the train approaches a station, it is on an up gradient. So automatically you get the deceleration. You don't have to apply the brakes or waste the energy for that. And when you leave the station, it goes on to a downgrade. And then again acceleration is by gravity, so you don't have to put additional energy there. And you will be surprised, the energy saving can be as high as 12 to 16%. That means that much energy consumption can be brought down. Second level, what we call is the rolling stock, where we are now sitting. Actually they have been designed as a modern, very lightweight, very comfortable this thing. But one of the features of this thing is that they have self-regenerating power braking system. What it happens actually, when the deceleration starts taking, the system rather they start getting into generation mode, and they generate the power by themselves, and that power can be used by the next train which is following, or it can be fed to the grid and it can be used elsewhere. So as a overall system, when 71 kilometer trains are going, and these are all IT based kind of things, so some train will be decelerating, some train will be accelerating. Actually the timetables are designed also in such a way that decelerating trains will generate power, they will give that power to the accelerating train, and here again significant saving is to the extent of almost 30 to 35%.
This 16,375 crore rupees project was aimed to build the Hyderabad Metro transit system as well as develop commercial opportunities in and around the stations. This 72 kilometers metro line with 64 stations is an excellent example as to how PPP models can be effective to build India.
Private enterprise can bring capital, they can bring best project management techniques, best technology, and efficiently they can do the projects in time and budgeted cost. Typically government can provide all the other supports. They can be a facilitator as far as the right of way is concerned, land acquisition is concerned, because this, I am talking PPP models for infrastructure as a general.
Right.
But I would say going forward, if we are looked at positively and do some tweaking in the understanding and coming at the same platform of the execution, I think it will be great. Metro system or any public transport system on its own will not be sufficiently efficient unless it is supported by what we call as a last mile connectivity. Government can play a major role along with the metro systems, that they will have to run some kind of secondary public transport system, either in the way of minibuses going around the city next to their stations, and they are almost kept to the timetable of the metro station kind of thing. And there are different localities, they can have buses, maybe electric rickshaws, and bring people to the station efficiently and take away from the station efficiently. That is how it will work, because the concept of people driving cars or scooters to the station, parking there, is no more available, because then all the purposes of the metro will go. One of the very big initiative, probably for the first time it was taken, creating the brand ambassador from the local people. Normally any brand or any product, they bring a celebrity who is already a celebrity and they bring as a brand ambassador. So here we decided that no, we will create the celebrity out of the common citizen, and we had a campaign, brand ambassador campaign, running almost about 10-11 months, and basically to again involve more people, we had 6 categories, starting from the students, senior citizens, ladies, corporate citizens. So we had 6 categories, and that's what is a big success.
On that note, we're going to sip into a short break. On the other side, we're going to catch up with the man credited for converting the Cochin airport into the 4th busiest international airport in the country. Stay tuned.
Right now, some of the biggest challenges which these regional airports faces on the policy, procedures, the financial viability, operational issues, marketing issues, and people issues. At the policy front, right now there's no major support that is being given to the low-cost airports, because by the very nature, transportation is a mass-based, volumes-based business, where unless you have traffic, there's no viability. So from a policy front, we need to support these airports by either giving a capital subsidy during the creation of these airports, and then on the operational level, for any shortfall that they have on the revenues, these airports will require some subsidy in the initial years to make them viable. Similarly, since these airports are in a far-off location, you also have shortage of adequate talent, and hence the talent needs to be paid a premium to be moved from big cities to these smaller locations. At the operational level, there has to be a great synergy between these regional airports and a regional carrier or some of the mainstream airlines.
Welcome back to United Technologies presents Transforming Cities, Transforming India. The answer to India's growth lies in decentralizing its air traffic, that is from the major hubs to the smaller ones. The way forward is certainly about creating regional air connects and connecting the smaller airports to the bigger ones. On the show today, we have Vijay Kurian, the man who, in spite of all the odds, managed to transform a small town airport into an international airport that is today the 4th busiest in India.
The aviation sector worldwide supports over 58 million jobs and $2.4 trillion in global GDP. The story is not so encouraging when it comes to India. In spite of having a huge expansion potential, the aviation sector has not taken off as the operating costs are way too high when compared to costs anywhere else in the world. So how different was CIAL's PPP planning and strategy that enabled the system to tick through all odds in just 15 years to become the nation's 4th busiest airport?
Actually, Cochin had an airport which was actually belonging to the Navy with a very short runway. So in 1991, Mr. Madhurao Scindia, then Union Minister for Civil Aviation, had called for a meeting to examine the possibility of extending the runway of the Navy-run airport, Navy-owned airport. So not many people were willing to put in money because Navy was very comfortable with the present runway, and the airport authority, which was National Airport Authority at that point of time, said that they have no money to invest in an airport owned by the Navy, and the porters said, like, kindly take away the airport because it's actually fouling with their expansion activities. Then I was actually asked to locate the land, and finally after a long time, 5-6 months later, we could identify a lot of land, a lot of locations, and finally we zeroed onto this airport. Then the airport authority, that time it was National Airports Authority, they said, we have no money to build an airport, but we will give you the technical expertise. So then government asked me whether to look at a possibility of raising money from the public, and whether you can actually do something. So I came up with this new idea of public-private partnership in the airport project. That was, we identified 3 major players in this. One is the government of Kerala, then the airport users, which is mainly the non-resident Indians, and thirdly, the airport service providers like the airlines, the duty-free operators, the ground handling operators. We thought, why not we bring them onto a common platform and try to build an airport. That is how this new concept of PPP in civil aviation or the airport sector started.
As the Cochin International Airport was based on the PPP model, the challenges were many and the task wasn't easy.
5 years we could do the project, but it entailed collecting almost 300 crore rupees. We demolished almost 820, or we shifted 820 houses to make way for this 1300 acres of land to build this airport. The issue was how to raise the money, and we thought we will use the airport service providers, the airport users, and the state of government of Kerala to finance the project. In 2003 to 2006, we went in for a rescheduling of loan. More income started coming in, and to cut the story short, in 2004 we paid dividend to the shareholders at 8%. Our landing charges are 10% cheaper than all the adjoining airports in the country. So it becomes cheaper for the passenger, and it becomes cheaper for the airline to come in. Basically, we said we keep the aeronautical charges low, but we make more money out of the duty free. In fact, almost 60% of our total revenue is from non-aviation. We get about out of 400 crore turnover, at least, and a profit of 121 crores we made last year. Our main income has been from the duty free, but we also make it a point to charge, our cost will be $1 cheaper than Dubai or Singapore. People did not believe that a project of this magnitude can be done with such a simple financing model. We had a great natural advantage in terms of being the center of Kerala, where we have a huge expat population, and earlier they used to use Trivandrum and Mumbai to go abroad. Now they can fly out from here directly. So when you have a facilities like, earlier we had just one flight into Delhi. Today we have something like 11 flights into Delhi, some through Mumbai, some direct. Similarly, we are connected into Kuala Lumpur and Singapore 5 times a day.
It's time for another break here on Transforming Cities, Transforming India. On the other side, CNBC TV18 Sumit Lakhutia is going to be in conversation with Carrier India Air Conditioning's Arun Bhatia. We'll be right back.
The first and foremost thing that the government needs to do is to showcase the fact that the next phase of growth will come from the regional and low-cost airports. Then this has to be followed up by clear actions. They need to create this Essential Air Services Fund, EASF, which has been talked of for a very long time but is yet to see the light of day. This fund, which should be set up by equal contribution from the government and from the paying passengers, on which you can levy about 1% cess on every flyer in India, and this could create a corpus of almost 1,000 crores per annum. It is this fund which is essential for not only capital subsidy for setting up these airports and also for operational subsidy as they go forth, because the airlines will have to be given some kind of a seat subsidy, because otherwise it will be very unviable for them given the low traffic that they might have in the first 5 to 7 years at these regional airports.
Welcome back to United Technologies presents Transforming Cities, Transforming India. On this episode today, we are concentrating on mass transportation and regional flying and how it can be more feasible and attractive. To shed more light on this topic, Sumit Lakhotia is in conversation with Arun Bhatia of Carrier Air Conditioning and Refrigeration.
Hi Arun, welcome to the show. So we are here in Gurgaon at the headquarters of Carrier in India, and I want to talk to you about the Delhi Metro. It's been a fine example. Newer metros coming up around the country are looking at it for their learnings from it. And according to some figures, the Delhi Metro has been able to save about 2 million barrels of fuel every year because of people having started taking the metro instead of their cars and their bikes. At a price of about $60 per barrel, that's a saving of $120 million per year, which is great for India's import bill. So what are some of the other benefits that a metro does provide to a country?
We have 27 lakh commuters traveling daily on metros, which means something like 3.9 lakh vehicles are off-road every day just because people are using metros. So clearly the fuel and the capital cost saving on these vehicles is a big saving, right? I mean, you save on the road infrastructure cost because there are less vehicles, there is less congestion. So I mean, so these are clear benefits. I think the other big element is, frankly, we save time for people. I mean, Delhi Metro is claiming something like average 32 minutes saving for commuters, so which is actually a very big element. I think the last and important thing is actually the environment aspect. I think the figures I see, a Delhi Metro is saving something like 6.3 lakh tons of emissions annually, which for a city like Delhi, which is so much polluted, is actually a very big thing.
Yes.
And in fact, UN has given Delhi Metro the first metro system globally who can use carbon credits and for global emission reduction, so which is actually a very big thing actually.
A lot of projects are happening on PPPs, especially in the airport sector.
Right.
Do you think this is the magic key, the key to our worries of infrastructure? Is PPP the solution?
It's interesting you asked this. So I think there are both sides of the coin actually. So some of the new airports which you see, the one in Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, are classic examples what PPP can bring to the level of airports we are talking. But having said that, some of even the government airports have been actually done very reasonably well. So I think maybe for India it could be a mix of both, depending on the location and the size of the airports. I think we can take a call on both. But I guess both models will coexist here in India.
And when you talk about airports, let's talk about the regional airports that are coming up, because that's where everyone's talking about the big growth in tier 2, tier 3 cities. How can these airports modernize and also be economically positive?
Now, our Prime Minister is talking about 100 smart cities.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking of smart cities, and one of the key elements of a smart city is public transportation, besides healthcare and your other disaster management things. So, if you need to have public transportation, all these new centers will have to have airports and metros together. Otherwise the whole concept of smart city won't work. I mean, you go to places like Japan. I mean, even it's not just the lower middle class or it's the upper middle class. It's the CEOs of the companies who travels by metros. I think so. That sort of thing, has to be brought in here.
So Arun, when the government is shortlisting regional airports, they're looking at towns that have about 1 million people in that area, and that's what qualifies an airport to become a regional airport, for a regional airport to come up.
Right.
Is that a right way to go about it, or do they need to look at some other aspects also?
Frankly, population cannot be the only basis, to decide whether an airport should come. It can be one of the bases, but I think the key things is actually the per capita income. I mean, the business and the tourism opportunities, because in the end of the day, the airport has to be a viable operation either to a PPP mode or even to the government. So I think we need to find the right location where all these fundamentals are in place. And maybe for some areas there will be an initial low traffic situation, so there would be some subsidies required.
So we're looking very positively towards the future of India. We're expecting a lot of development, we're expecting cleaner, greener India. What's on UTC's plate? What are some developments that you guys are doing that will add and help in this initiative?
Well, frankly, the infrastructure segment, the metro and the airports, is actually a very big potential segment for our business. And the reason I say this is, one, we have the various products to serve this segment, so I talk about things like elevators and escalators with the Otis brand. So we're already working closely with Delhi Metro for phase 3 and even the Hyderabad Metro. Similarly, on the air conditioning, I mean, you name all new airports, I mean, they are using Carrier chillers, so be it the Delhi airport, the Calcutta airport, the Chennai or even the Bangalore one. Similarly, on the Mumbai airport, the new one, we have done the comprehensive fire and security system there. So now one is the various components which goes into all those buildings. I think the other is the whole science about integrating them and maybe looking at them as a cluster of buildings, you know. So that is the new development we are frankly working for these consumers, so that we give them a one-stop solution and it becomes a more sustainable thing for them. I think the second element is also to look at while we look at the new airports, to look at the existing airports and metro station. And there's a clear opportunity in technological interventions to possibly make them more efficient and maybe energy saving there. So that is the other element, frankly, we are working with the authorities. So we look forward to a great opportunity for us here, frankly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Arun, for talking to us, and here's wishing a brighter future for you guys and for a cleaner, greener, more developed India. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. On our next episode, we're going to focus on smart buildings. What are smart buildings? How are they planned, built and monitored? From the entire team here, many thanks for watching.
The starting point for any sector to take off is the vision and strategy of the government. So at this moment, Prime Minister Modi has spoken about tourism as one of the 5 T's of his 5T model. But we don't see much of this coming into action at the policy procedure and the real action front. Now for tourism to take off, especially in low-cost areas, regional areas, far-flung areas, whether it's the Hindu circuit, the Muslim circuit, the Buddhist circuit, the Sikh pilgrim sector, then there's the natural tourism, medicinal tourism. India has so much to offer in terms of biodiversity and natural beauty, art, culture, architecture. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Yet all we get is about 7.4 million foreign tourist arrivals, which is a pittance. If you look at Singapore, just one small island of Singapore gets double of this great nation of India. And if you look at Thailand and Malaysia, there are 35 million arrivals. China, the big daddy, is sitting at about 58 million foreign tourist arrivals.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.